Okay. Well, that was a quick break thingy, at least for me. Hey, I'm Steve O'Brien. You're listening to the Republic of Texas radio show. I've got Jerry Lahr on and the White Rose of Colorado. Or maybe it's just the White Rose. And we were discussing the words or the terms inalienable versus unalienable. And we're discussing, Black's Law and its reflection on that. And words? Man, really? Okay. Hey, Jerry, the ball was in your court. You were saying that you have Black's Law right in front of you and inalienable is, and then we cut you off.
Well, that's okay. And this is a beautiful teaching moment. This illustrates exactly what I'm talking about. Okay. May I?
Yeah, dude, go for it.
Okay, I'm looking at Black's Law Dictionary, 6th edition, page 759. Inalienable, not subject to alienation, the characteristic of those things which cannot be bought or sold or transferred from one person to another, such as rivers and public highways and certain personal rights. Okay? Okay. Now I go to unalienable. Unalienable, incapable of being alienated, that is, sold and transferred. So, not here, they both mean the same things. Now I go to inalienable rights, as listed in Black's Law Dictionary. Rights which are not capable of being surrendered or transferred without the consent of the one possessing such rights. Whoa. That doesn't say the same thing, does it?
No. Sounds like two words,
rights.
Though.
Rights are not capable of being surrendered or transferred without the consent of one possessing such rights, religion, speech, and laws. So I can give my consent to give my inalienable rights away, but the word inalienable and unalienable both mean they cannot be given away. But Black's Law, the law, creates the word inalienable rights, and now that changes the definition of both inalienable and unalienable.
Now, you're talking two words, though. Inalienable rights versus inalienable. They're two different. Actually,
it's three things, and that's the whole thing why when we had our initial discussion, we were talking about common law, and this is a perfect illustration of why we all have to find a common ground. Mm-hmm. Because if I look at the word inalienable and I look at the word unalienable, they in essence mean the same thing as defined by law.
I found some common ground for you. The statutory law system's a bunch of criminals that are just pulling shenanigans over everybody, and this is all stupid. How's that for common ground?
I'm sorry, Steve. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
You didn't. I was just ranting.
But the minute I looked up inalienable rights in the dictionary, it changed the meaning of both inalienable and unalienable to something else because it says I can give these rights up.
Okay. Hey, I want to go back to the White Rose. He's been really patient, and I stopped him mid-sentence. What do you think about that?
Well, no, you have to look at the dictionary.
Well, hold on there, Jerry. We talked for a bit, and I need the White Rose to chime in there.
Yes, gentlemen, I'm here. I think that copy of Black's Law that you have doesn't give you the full meaning. Unalienable is defined in one of the copies of Black's Law as being state-given rights that can be taken away from you. Now, here's another thing I'd like to say. The belief. What we need to do is we need to stop believing things and start researching and finding out the truth so that we can know stuff. Okay? Belief is a dirty word. I don't like belief. And I have one more thing to say, and then I'm going to hang up and listen to you on the radio. I would please everybody, I implore everybody, check out my website, thewhiterose.simplesite.com. Please check out my website, and you may find some information there that you might be interested in. And thank you very much for your time, and have a good day.
Awesome. Thanks for chiming in. 800-313-9443 if you have any kind of comments to that or you have any other questions, because we're not off this subject yet. You know, there's so many different versions of Black's Law, and which one are you to believe there, Jerry? You know, well, there we go. There's the word, believe. I guess it doesn't matter, right?
Yeah, and then I've got ever Black's Law from the first edition up through the 9th. I quit buying them after that. And I've watched the definitions change, and that's why I'm so big on this other thing that we have to move over to something that's clean, that everybody can own and understand and move forward, because all this other stuff just wastes time picking the right language. That's why I believe that's why we need to get out of common law, because we're always going to be, pouring Coke in each other's tea. Doesn't work.
Yeah, I know. This
so
stuff
we need
just
a new
gets me.
paradigm to operate in, that everybody agrees on the principles being the same.
Yeah, I hear you, right? This whole discussion of, two different definitions for the same dang book kind of pisses me off a little bit. 1-800-313-9443. Please call in, tell us what you think. Hey, we got Mike in Kentucky on line 1. Hey, Mike, are you there?
Yeah, and I've got a couple of relevant things on this, and I think it's a mindset or concept they've been trying to quash or abandon. In Kentucky in 1948, I think it was, when they were trying to push the United Nations and all this, Charter of Human Rights and such, I read a transcript of a radio interview where they were trying to justify a new constitution for Kentucky, saying that it was all rhetorical flourishes of the Enlightenment period and just was not modern enough to be relevant. But that would have been Kentucky's 5th constitution. Now you can get a Citizen's Guide to the Constitution. I think it may still be in print, or you can find it in the libraries. The 2nd and 3rd constitutions are missing, and they don't have a copy of anything that was signed or passed. The only thing they've got is like a typewritten copy of the 1850. When you go back to the first 2 constitutions, 1792 and 1799, there's a section in there that is nicknamed the Bill of Rights section. And it says in there that those rights, including the right to defend yourself, whether you're carrying something concealed or not, and that section dealing with, property and the basic unalienable rights, is forever outside of the scope and power of the government or the people to change. And those rights are not something you can contract away. And I think that was also expressed in the 1960s spy show with Patrick McGowan, where he said, I will not make any agreements with you. I will not be filed, stamped, briefed, debriefed, or numbered, pushed, and whatever else he said. And basically saying that those contracts cannot be made. You cannot consider yourself a man, which back then, human, I guess. You can argue about human, what that meant. But those
about
are
the prisoner, right?
invalid contracts. They're not a contract. They're unconscionable.
So hang on there, Mike. Hey, first of all, you're talking about The Prisoner. I love that show. That was wonderful. And the second thing is, you said that the Constitution of Kentucky, used the words. Could not be
changed. They changed it anyway.
Yeah, they always change things, but it did at one time. You say unalienable rights, and then defined what it meant by what it said.
It said that those rights of property and self-defense cannot be changed. I mean, you'll have to read it, look it up and read it. But that's a concept, I think, that was in America in the 1790s. And they had, in order for Kentucky to be admitted to the Union, it had to have a government of the Republican form. And so it was admitted to the Union with those constitutions. Those constitutions were valid in their concepts that those rights could not be changed or contracted away. It was outside the scope of the government or the people to do that because they are unconscionable. In other words, if I said, that I believe in cannibalism and I think I want you to cook me and eat me, then it would be an unconscionable contract. See, they had this happen in Germany a while back, where I guess in Germany you have the right to die with dignity or something, and this guy wanted to be eaten after he was dead so he could go on and, I guess, or whatever, in the lives of other people. And then, so they tried to, the defense argued this was a contract. This guy decided that his body would be given over to them after he died, and he could be eaten. It's not only because it's against the law, but it's an unconscionable contract. The guy obviously was not in his right mind to want to do something like that. But why would I sign a contract that says I hereby from now on relinquish all my rights to freedom of speech for the rest of my life?
Well, from what you just told me there, Mike, they modified the Constitution of Kentucky several times, and one time it said unalienable rights, and then went on to define what that meant. And I can understand why they were slowly trying to morph that document, because they're playing these shenanigans with words in Black's Law. And then allegedly Black's Law is the way that the words are correctly used, but they're not used by the general public. They're used by attorneys, right? The people it was common, I guess, for the people to have Blackstone's commentaries, and these, it was one of the largest selling books in the South. I've talked to a guy who was in the home of illiterate people in eastern Kentucky, and they had books on the shelves, going back to Chaucer and things that they couldn't even read and didn't know what it was, but hey, that was handed down to me from great grandpa. We kept it, and they couldn't even read. But they've been dumbed down or whatever, and had all these, We've definitely been dumbed down. I can say that. They've been
basically let out of what was important to pass on to the next generation, and I think those concepts, the idea of an unconscionable contract and things like odious debt, our leaders would get into debt that is impossible to pay back. It makes the whole thing unconscionable. And
hey, Jerry, you've been quiet for a few minutes. Hey, what are you thinking about there, buddy?
I'm not thinking about anything. But again, this is where it really pays to have a common ground of knowledge about. We don't have to have a knowledge about law. We just have to have a knowledge about principles. And you're not going to like what you hear coming up, but a constitution is supposed to be an outline of a document that the government is supposed to follow these rules. Foundation of legitimate government. And in order to have that, this constitution, these rules have to be, they're authorities that are, quote, delegated from the people to this constitution. And I don't know where these authorities have been delegated, because the people didn't have the right to delegate some of these authorities, and they didn't sign the Constitution, and no document can apply to me that I didn't participate in and acknowledge and accept the responsibilities. And they change the Constitution every year to suit them, and we, the people, supposedly gave our consent. Well, I didn't give them consent to tax me, steal my property, beat me up, put me in prison. I didn't give them that. I didn't have that authority to give them. So you're talking to the wrong man.
Go ahead, Mike.
When they claim to represent the people, and the people don't stand up and say, no, wait a minute, this is not our agreement, they run with the idea that they have consent by acquiescence.
Yeah, they
People remain silent, therefore they agree to it.
Yeah, but then they can also put it into a, what is it that they do in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy? They go ahead and they pass something, they put it into, on public display in the janitor's closet underneath the basement of City Hall or something like that. It's all stupid.
That's why we have a paper of record in Kentucky and probably most other states. In each county, there is a paper of record where all the courthouse business is published, and that is considered public notice. And they also post it in the courthouse. But yeah, on the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, they're dealing with they're making fun of the bureaucracy of England. And,
it's actually hilarious in itself. Hey, 1-800-313-9443. Hey, you got any closing thoughts there, Mike?
I'll just say that the foundation of a legitimate government is supposedly that Constitution, and if they're not going to go by it, then they're operating as pirates. They're engaged in piracy when they take out loans that are mathematically impossible to pay back, and the people aren't obligated to pay them back. And you can bring that up. If you're operating, and that's one thing that a lot of lawyers and you can charge them with piracy. Look, you're not going by this foundation of legitimate government, and in fact, it was changed. I know a guy who wrote about a 1-inch thick treatise on the Kentucky Constitution back in the 90s when they put in the provision to grant a license to carry a concealed weapon. And he said, look, this is illegitimate. There's no privilege required. You can defend yourself by any means necessary. And it's in the original Constitution, which was changed without authority to do so. And the only reply they had was, we are aware of the problem, which means that they consented to everything that he said. So now getting through court is another matter.
Well, thanks for the call, Mike. Hey, I got your point, Jerry, where you were talking about, and I really do agree with the fact that, in a Constitution, everybody has to sign on to the Constitution to be represented by the Constitution, and that did not happen in the United States of America. It didn't happen in the case of Kentucky, and, the people that didn't sign on, Mike pointed out that through quote acquiescence, everybody became, by their silence, everybody became beholden to that document in the eyes of this government that was created by very few. I don't know a solution to that. I guess once these few people create this thing called a government, everybody else are its slaves. That's kind of what I get, right? And I don't like that necessarily.
It's their dream come true because everybody is out touting the wonders of our Constitution, which is the actual thing that's imprisoning us. And all you've got to do is go spend some time reading Lysander Spooner. He's the first time I ever read him, I was livid because he was telling the truth about my Constitution that I had been raised with all my life. And then 3 weeks later of no sleeping, I said, that son of a gun's right. There is no legal, there is no ethical, and there is no moral, reasonable grounds for anybody going in to do something on a Constitution because it, quote unquote, does not in reality exist. Because nobody signed it. You can't legally give me a reason that I have to obey it. You can't morally give me a reason. And certainly you cannot logically back up with reason why that applies to me, because there's no other contract on the planet that goes past the person who wrote it.
It's all smoke and mirrors to an extent. The Constitution of the United States of America, which they don't follow, the Constitution of the states, they don't follow, the lies they tell you or constantly are changing, but I'm still not too sure where to go. It's a confusing little conundrum. I don't want to boss anybody around. I don't want to force anybody to do what they don't want to do. Yet we're faced with this problem of an ever-encroaching corporate United States of America that's taking away everybody's life, that's killing people, causing torment around the world. It's not a good thing. Where do we go?
It's a tool to steal all the land, all the gold, all the profit, all the people's productivity.
That's the music. We're going around to break, folks. We'll be right back. This will be a short segment. 1-800-313-9443 if you have any kind of stuff to say.
Recent events have shown just how vulnerable we are to deadly viruses, bacteria, and fungus. These diseases are all caused by infectious pathogens that often get the upper hand on conventional medical treatments. Now more than ever, there's a great need for a product that will help protect us. Look no further. Supernatural Silver can provide immune system support to help fight off these deadly pathogens. Supernatural Silver is a new and vastly improved type of silver solution that's safe and extremely effective against 143 types of bacteria, both forms of viruses, mold, and yeast. Supernatural Silver can be taken orally or used topically and can be used in a nebulizer or vaporizer for inhalation. With over 180 scientific studies by independent universities, hospitals, and research institutions, Supernatural Silver is a powerful weapon against disease. Go to supernaturalsilver.com and use the promo code SILVER2014 for 20% off your entire order. Give you and your loved ones a fighting chance with Supernatural Silver.
There are many water filters to choose from, but there is only one system that is consistently customer rated 5 stars as the #1 system for effective filtration of fluoride, radiation, drug residues, heavy metals, a wide range of radioisotopes, and more. Introducing the Pure Effect Ultra, the next generation water filter that also raises alkaline pH, improves antioxidant potential, and has advanced anti-radiation technology, all while using no electricity. Sold worldwide, it provides virtually instant clean water on demand. It is not made in China, and the shipping is free to all 50 states. Buy your Pure Effect Ultra today by visiting PureEffectFilters.com. or call 888-891-4821. Again, that's 888-891-4821. Or visit PureEffectFilters.com.
Hi, my name is David Merlin from TakeFromCaesar.us. Income is defined in the tax code. All property is a cost, including labor, according to statute. You're deprived of the provisions of Section 83 whenever you pay an income tax on your compensation. According to Section 83, only the excess over the amount paid is gross income. The government can't so much as provide an interpretation of Section 83 of its own. Get your paradigm shift and understanding today at TakeFromCaesar.us.
HempUSA.org has a revolutionary wonder food for detoxing the body and rebuilding the immune system. Microplant powder can help unclog arteries and soften heart valves while removing heavy metals, virus, fungus, bacteria, and parasites. Plus, it cleans and purifies the blood, lungs, stomach, and colon. Keep your body clean with Microplant powder. Order today at 888-910-4367 or visit HempUSA.org.
Hello. You know, you're listening to the Republic of Radio, or Republic of Texas radio show. I'm Steve O'Brien. I was just kind of talking about how, well, I guess Jerry Lahr and myself were talking about governments. And there was this government. It was formed allegedly when the North American place that's called the corporate United States of America freed itself from Europe, from England, and they made a constitution, and a few people signed a piece of paper, and then everybody was beholden to this piece of paper. Then all of a sudden they imposed laws and they did things to people, and it was, well, was it good for a time? I'm not too sure. Some probably would argue, but it was a little bit freer than what we have today with the corporate United States of America reaching its tentacles out throughout, the planet, imposing its goodwill and liberty and freedom in its own form, allegedly, through use of violence and so forth and whatever. Anyways, I'm trying to figure out what's the solution. I believe a free Texas is a great place to start. I like Jerry's ideas. I don't know if people even understand what Jerry's saying. You know, and that's good. And hey, I do see you there on the line, Bruce. Hang in there. If you want to call, 800-313-9443. coming to a common language or getting a vocabulary. That's kind of where you're trying to show me how we can get to a freedom and liberty. Is that correct, Jerry?
Yes. Can you hear me okay?
I hear you wonderfully.
Okay, good. Yeah, again, when we go back to this, there's a thing called cognitive dissonance. And what it is that people have reverence for certain things that they've learned over the years that they've been taught and they believe in. And the minute that you say something about this, that you're hitting against a brick wall. And the truth is our Constitution was created in secret by diplomats who went to do another task. They were chartered to do one thing and they did an entirely different thing. So it's got some nasty beginnings, but we're all taught how wonderful it is but the truth is it really isn't. It doesn't stop anything. Like Spooner says, the document has either done what it was designed to do or it has not prevented that which has occurred. Therefore, it's an unfit document. So having said that, that's why I think it's so critical that those of us who are interested can achieve a common denominator, vocabulary, basis that we don't have to get off on these side trips, unable contact, Constitution, and we can have a common ground that we all agree on that everybody else can participate in because everything then is self-evident. And from that will come the true nature of our being and the true nature of what today we call government that in a regular setting we really don't need, because we can take care of everything the government does at half the cost and twice the efficiency. That's been proven time and again. So the government is bottom up instead of top down, and that is something that's manageable, and that is something that has been proven to work time and again until it
fails.
That's it, yeah.
Damn shame. I can't wait to have the post conversations for this show because I like to talk to a lot of different people about it. Hey, we've got Earl in Texas waiting on the line. Hang in there. I think I might have talked to you before, Earl. I hope so. But let's bring on Bruce from Oregon. Hey, Bruce, you out there still?
Yes, I wanted to ask your guest, do you believe that people should be able to, for example, just drive any speed they want, that there shouldn't be any speed limits then?
Hey, Jerry, what do you think?
I'm sorry, I was unable to understand what was said.
Well, let me restate that. I think we had a little bit of audio quality. Speed limits in natural law. This is the question, in your perfect world, should we have speed limits? And how would that reflect?
Speed limits in natural law? No.
Yeah.
I mean, natural law says that all I can do.
There's that music. Let's take up speed limits, natural law, and on the other side. And what time do we got? 28. So we'll have a long segment. Hang in there, guy. Earl in Texas, Bruce in Oregon. 1-800-313-9443.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
The IRS is a private corporation, not a government agency. Income tax is collected by voluntary compliance. To learn to unvolunteer or discontinue volunteering into the IRS, visit escapeharassment.com and immediately implement Strategy 1. The process must be repeated each and every time. Paper, letter, envelope, presentment, etc. Always and forever. Failure equates to acceptance, subsequent resultant contract, and you pay or go to jail by your own consent and agreement contract. Avoid recontracting. Visit escapeharassment.com and implement Strategy 1 immediately. Bar lawyers and accountants won't help you. Why wait? Get Strategy 1 and immediately implement it to divorce the IRS today and forever. That's escapeharassment.com, Strategy 1, to be free from the IRS. Escapeharassment.com.
Has your dancing and romancing done gone away? Are you moaning and a-groaning from the stresses of the day? Are you reeling and a-peeling because a headache's on the way? Well, relax for just a moment. Stress relief is on the way. Of what am I speaking, you ask? The essential oils of long historic use, the wisdom of the ages, the health care of the ancients, frankincense, myrrh, hyssop, and hundreds of others too numerous to mention. What could be more appealing? Do you know that Young Living Essential Oils has an element of life that makes them extremely effective in body rejuvenation? This element is called vibration, and it works with body systems, not against them. The professionals at Divine Living Oils have tested and been so impressed with this product that we are using them to help others. And who are we? We are health professionals with many years' experience. Trust us, we have seen the good, the bad, and the ugly. Our motto? Because we care about you. Do your health and spirit a great favor. Call us at 304-542-4226. That's 304-542-4226. Again, that's 304-542-4226.
Want something different from your detox? Then you want Hemp USA's microplant powder for a full body detox. With 7 formulations and 8 different sizes, you will feel and see the difference. And the best part? It's only about $10 a month. Our customers love it, and we ship worldwide. Get the detox difference. Get microplant powder from hempusa.org. Call 888-910-4367 or visit hempusa.org. See what our powder, seeds, and oil can do for you at hempusa.org.
Come to Finca Baiano, a small community in Panama, which is being established for people who believe that a future crisis may be difficult to survive in North America after a collapse of the system. Go to bugoutpanama.com for more information. There is limited space for 100 people only. Go to bugoutpanama.com to immigrate as long as you can. Prepare. Don't despair at bugoutpanama.com.
Dr. Joel Wallach, author of the famous health lecture Dead Doctors Don't Lie, presents his newest book, Epigenetics. Epigenetics is required reading for the very survival of Americans, and yes, all of humanity. Modern man has bet on the wrong horse to save them from disease and pestilence. The medical system has failed us fearfully. Join the health revolution. Buy Epigenetics today and receive a free membership to purchase all the products that Dr. Joel Wallach formulated at wholesale prices and receive a free CD of Dead Doctors Don't Lie. All this for only $25 plus shipping and handling. Call 888-311-4311. That's 888-311-4311. Again, that's just $25 plus shipping and handling. And you'll receive the new book, Epigenetics, a free membership, and a free CD of Dead Doctors Don't Lie. Call 888-311-4311. That's 888-311-4311.
Blah, blah, blah. It's talk radio. Hey, you're listening to the Republic of Texas Radio. I'm your host, Steve O'Brien. We have Bruce from Oregon on the line, and he was just asking about, well, he asked a very interesting question. You know, we've talked about in the past what speed limits would look like in a republic, in a, well, bottoms up type situation. And we have Jerry Lahr on the line, and he's talking about natural law. And how would that actually, you know, frame that up for us, Jerry? You know, what about speed limits if we lived in a natural law society? Will we have them?
That's an interesting concept because, you know, speed limits are speed limits, and there's validity and there's invalidity in speed limits. But if I'm in a community and the school happens to be on the highway and it's a group of first graders, obviously going through that area at 2 o'clock in the afternoon when school goes on at 100 miles an hour is not the right thing to do. That's the truth. So any community has the right to get together over the areas that are their areas, and they can lay out what they want done for their community.
Okay, let me throw this in there. Let me throw this in there. As you're doing it, we have a school district, and they say they want to go 25 miles an hour around the school, and they agree upon that, but I don't. I say I can go 35.
Then that's what that community dictated, and if I'm in your community, I'm going to honor your rule, just like if you're in mine, I'll honor yours. Now, if I live out on the way to El Paso in a county where there's 17 people, I can go any speed I want. But there's a place in.
Okay, now we're talking kind of like a republic here, in the county level type situation. Let's switch from schools to cutting of grass, 2-inch grass.
Well, that's what a republic.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
No, I understand the republic thing, and in natural law, you'd form some kind of allegiances with people around you, but you'd still be bossing around the person that says, I want to do 35 in a 25 zone.
Well, it's just like going back to the county. The county level is where we all start. And in the county, this is our county. Here's what we want. Well, if I'm a county out here where there's only 500 people, and I'm in a county here where there's 100,000, I have a different set of needs to correspond to keep my people, to allow them to enjoy their freedom within the constraints of my community. Okay. So we don't allow shooting up the streets at night, and those are things that we you can carry your guns, you can do that, and if in this community we all agree that we're not going to go down Main Street at 120 miles an hour.
Okay. Hey, we're backing up our. Yeah, I totally get you, and we can probably talk about this a lot, but we just got a whole swamp of calls. So, hey, Bruce in Oregon, can you quickly sum up? Did that answer your question? What's going on, man?
Well, he's saying in this hypothetical community, we all agree that you can only go 30 or whatever. Well, there might be a person or two who don't agree, who think they should go 60, so why shouldn't they prevail?
Well, no, I totally understand, and I think we were just talking about. Hey, Bruce, thanks for your call. We'll address this as we go along, because I think you and I, Bruce, were asking the same question, but I think it takes a framework, like Jerry was saying, a dialogue and so forth. But I want to try to get to all these callers before the show's over. So let's move on to Earl in Texas.
Yes, sir. Good morning. And appreciate your program.
Well, thank you for calling, Earl.
I had finished the paper that's going to be. I'm going to put it into a flyer form entitled "Texas Independence is Real Change," and I have 8 points. And I believe it's kind of apropos to what's been said here this morning, if I may quickly go over it. And what my idea and my hopes are is to actually set up workshops and have workshops set up and work with movements such as yours that you belong to.
Actually, Earl, I'd love you to go over that real quickly, but we've talked previously, and I'd like to get you to come on the show and talk about those points more in detail. I remember talking to you a few months ago from to the Farron Shope's show, the alternate media. Yeah. So can you just give me a nutshell on what's going on, because we got a few more callers, and then leave your phone number with the board op with Sam, and I'd really like to talk to you about coming on the show.
Okay, I'll just sum it up with my 8th point, which states that the internal clock of time has once again approached the hour, calling for separation. The system in which we want separation from is beyond repair. Recent history of at least 100 years has proven that voting has done nothing to reinstate the value principles of our republic. In fact, the opposite has occurred: total government. Our future has the great possibility of being brighter. Texas has its own nation, has what it takes to prosper in all ways by a morally sound, free, and independent people. Freedom and socialism do not exist. Choose freedom through Texas independence. Get involved and proudly display your Texas flag. So,
No, man, we could talk about what your thoughts are for a while. I believe we talked for a while previously. Hey, leave your number with Sam. I lost it, but I really was hoping you'd call eventually. Thanks for your call, man. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Hey, what did you think about that, Jerry?
Yeah, I'm not sure I understood everything he said. I wasn't able to understand. He was talking about the Constitution, but I really didn't get the parts he said.
Yeah, it's okay. I have some framework from that conversation. It made me, I knew where he was going, and we'll get there at some point here. We got Sovereign Man on the line. Hey, Sovereign Man, are you there?
Yes, I am. Greetings and salutations, gentlemen.
Well, peace to you. Hey, what's going on, man?
Well, that previous call, not the previous, but the one before, Bruce from wherever, that's actually Russ. That's Russ. He's a troll. To be on alert for him.
That was a good question, though.
Well, actually, it's a non sequitur because if you think about this, I mean, the roads that go near the school are a whole different issue. But when you talk about speed limits, I mean, look at Germany. They have the Autobahn. It's limitless. Okay? And they don't have a large amount of accidents and a big problem with public safety, so to speak. I think that the speed limits are a revenue extraction scheme. Because if you're a responsible individual, you're going to drive at a prudent speed. Okay? All the time, the quote-unquote Leos drive at high speed in the interest of an emergency, and a lot of times neither an emergency nor within the public interest. So, I mean, they can do it because they have they're part of the system.
Right.
Okay?
Uh-huh.
The problem is there's no accountability in this current system. You can't have the foxes policing the hen houses. That's where we're at. Okay? There's a guy, his name is Theodore Roosevelt, and I don't put a whole lot of credit in Theodore, but he did basically in a speech that he gave at the Jonestown Expedition in 1907, basically says that each individual, we have individual sovereignty within ourselves. Okay, and either we govern ourselves from within, or we'll be governed from without. And that's where the counties come in. And I don't really think that anybody has any right to, impugn their force upon another, unless, of course, it becomes a hazard to quote-unquote, the community. The problem is we have communitarianism. A lot of people say it's our Constitution. Well, no, the Constitution was a document that was drafted to set the parameters in which this new venture, the corporation, was set to operate. Okay? We need to govern ourselves. We need to stop looking from without ourselves to govern. And, if we come together as a people, which we should do, in agreement, with terms that are not hidden. I mean, if you look at the laws, if you don't understand the context in which laws are written and by the words, I mean, they use words that are not common language, and that's inherently what the problem is. It's all very deceptive within the judicial system.
You have any thoughts there, Jerry? Do you get where he's coming from?
Boy, he hit the nail right on the head. That's why in the system that I have suggested, all the words are defined to fit in the system before we even sit down and talk. Yeah. Because we want to all be talking about the same thing. And he brought up an excellent point about people are responsible, and our society now has it set up that nobody's responsible for anything. Just go see the insurance company. You got no fault insurance. But you go to Mexico and, they don't have stop signs. They don't have speed limits. They don't have anything. And they know that if they get in a wreck, they're paying for everything out of their pocket, and they've got to support the family of the person they kill. And they pay attention. Yeah.
Yeah, they're definitely accountable. And the problem is these people that are quote-unquote appointed or elected to public office, they're not held accountable. Actually, these individuals should be held to a higher standard and have a higher penalty put upon them for their egregious action.
And that's the thing about the natural law. The natural law requires an oath of fidelity. And that oath is, if they break it, then they're going to pay for that. Whereas today, the minute I become a congressman, I'm immune to anything. I don't have to account for anything. I can lie, cheat, steal, do inside stock trades. I'm not accountable.
Yeah.
And no government agent is accountable ever. That's why they have their own court system.
Yeah. It's a good old boys network that's just on a higher level. I mean, there's nothing new under the sun.
Right.
But we got to pray for this nation and pray for the people. I mean, we're so entrapped in the technological brainwashing, so to speak.
That we've got so many trivial things that are being, they're just being blown all out of proportion to keep people arguing about stuff that's really not important, i.e. speed limits, when we need to be having an accountable government that doesn't steal money from us and imprison us and make sure that our grandkids have something to look forward to other than a humongous debt and no money to pay it with.
Yeah, well, me personally, I believe the debt doesn't belong to us, we the people. The debt belongs to them, the corporation. Every one of those 535 are all incorporated. They're all doing business as. It's a big scam, and it needs actually to be it needs to be torn down and reconstructed, and not under the same parameters in which it was originally erected. And that's just me personally.
Well, the truth is you've got history going back supporting everything you said, because every republic that's ever been started has been started in freedom, and everyone that's ever cratered has always been a despotism and followed by the Dark Ages.
Yeah.
I think we're heading towards the Dark Ages right now.
Oh, we're in it. We're actually in it. There's no doubt. I mean, when a man walks up to you and he puts his hand on his hip and asks you for ID, I mean, we're there. You know, if you're not involved in a crime and you just you're a ship or a vessel floating on the sea of commerce waiting to be extracted, and that's where we're at.
That's painful.
And God forbid that you have to have an ID to vote.
Yeah, well, I pretty much have decided that.
Understand, it's just the contradictory things in our government. Yeah.
Oh God, we live in an insane world. Sovereign Man, thank you so much. I have two more callers I want to try to get in before the end of the show.
Thanks for being there, guys. You have a blessed weekend.
Okay, man. Take care and keep up the good work. Love you. Hey, let's squeeze in Freedom Land. Are you still on the line there, Freedom Land? Well, we might have had a drop, but I think it's Freedom Land. Hello, hello, hello. Oh, okay. I guess I got that wrong. You know, my little display thingy said Freedom Land, and I didn't know it was number 3. We got Art off the grid coming in. Hey, Art, you still there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
I hear you just fine. How about you, Jerry? Can you hear
I can.
Art? Wonderful.
Okay.
What's going on, man?
Sometimes these lines don't work right. You kind of stole about 90% of my thunder up there with that fella on the driving through school zones, whatever thing. But, I've been for 3 decades now, I've been living as a free spirit, unbound, by man's law and bound to natural law. And I've made a habit of trying to teach people by my own example with the way I live, allowing them to see how I live, and through watching me, they learn. And, when they can ask, well, what if this, what if that, what if... Look, it's pretty simple. If you have, say, 1,000 people, and they all live in a certain area, and they have children, they're going to get together, and they're going to lay out some common sense rules that people are going to agree. And they're going to say, okay, well, as far as right here where the school is, and over here where the hospital is, and maybe even downtown where we have a lot of people walking back and forth across the street doing shopping, these are areas where we probably really should slow down. And if you got one clown out of 1,000 people who, I want to do 60, chances are pretty good he's not going to be living in that area for very long, because he's not going to be welcome. People are going to shun him, and he's basically going to be forced to move and find someplace else to live. I mean, this is common sense here.
Yeah,
and I don't know
totally
anybody in their right mind with any level of common sense who's going to want to do 60 mile an hour in front of a school at 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
I know, but people don't have their heads about them. That's the problem. But you hit the nail on the head. I'm so glad you called in. The thing is, we don't have to resort to violence to deal with that guy doing 65 in a 25 zone. We can deal with him a lot of different ways, including violence, but it's not necessarily violence. We shun him. We don't do business with him. We make it we make it so he can't live. Right? He's doing something harmful to us. It's not, everybody always jumps to violence, and you jumped in and you pointed it out, right? There's other avenues besides violence. Hey, hear the music. Let's go around the other side. Art, if you can hang in, at least for a few minutes, and then we'll finish off with Jerry Lahr. You're listening to the Republic of Texas Radio.
Extendivite really works. Here is what people are saying.
Oh, I had a problem with breathing. When I started to do some walking, I had a problem. I had a heart attack, my second one. I take this pill, and I feel great.
I had 3 bypass 10 years ago, and I was in bed almost 24 hours a day, and painkillers out of this world. I started taking this. I'm down to almost no painkillers at all, and it helped my circulation 100%. My medical doctor, and I went to see him, and he could not believe it. There's no way he could have went down that fast. He could not believe it. I showed him what I was taking. He said, don't stop taking it. I wouldn't do without it. It's unbelievable.
To get your Extendivite, call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendivite.
Dr. Joel Wallach, author of the famous health lecture, Dead Doctors Don't Lie, presents his newest book, Epigenetics. Epigenetics is required reading for the very survival of Americans, and yes, all of humanity. Modern man has bet on the wrong horse to save them from disease and pestilence. The medical system has failed us fearfully. Join the health revolution. Buy Epigenetics today and receive a free membership to purchase all the products that Dr. Joel Wallach formulated at wholesale prices, and receive a free CD of Dead Doctors Don't Lie. All this for only $25 plus shipping and handling. Call 888-311-4311. That's 888-311-4311. Again, that's just $25 plus shipping and handling. And you'll receive the new book, Epigenetics, a free membership, and a free CD of Dead Doctors Don't Lie. Call 888-311-4311. That's 888-311-4311.
Nutritious food is real body armor. It builds muscle, burns fat, improves digestion, and feeds the entire body the nutrients it needs. Did you know the U.S. government banned the hemp plant from growing in the United States and classified it as a Schedule I drug to hide it behind the marijuana plant? People have been confused about this plant for over 80 years, and many still don't know what hemp is. So now you know hemp is not marijuana, and marijuana is not hemp. They are different varieties of the same species. Hemp HempUSA.org wants the world to know these basic facts and to help people understand that hemp protein powder is the best kept health secret you need to know about. Remember, hemp protein powder contains 53% protein, is gluten-free, anti-inflammatory, non-GMO, and is loaded with nutrients. Call 888-910-4367, 888-910-4367, and see what our powder, seeds, and oil can do for you. Only at HempUSA.org.
Hello. You're listening to the Republic of Texas Radio. I'm Steve O'Brien. I have my guest on, Jerry Lahr. Art Off the Grid just reminded me of something I thought of a long time ago, but, stuck it away. So I really appreciate that, the ability to, correct people without resorting to violence. There's all sorts of different ways. What did you think about that, Jerry? What did you take from what Art was just telling us?
That again, it was a perfect teaching moment, and he suggested that yes, there will be a community where he can go live where people like to go through town at 60 miles an hour, and that's the whole thing. Is that there is no violence. There will be a place where everybody can be among their own kind. Birds of a feather flock together.
Mm-hmm. Back in the day, it was called voting with your feet. And if you didn't like the way things were where you were at, then you voted with your feet and you went somewhere where the people lived according to the rules that you wanted to live by. And, you got some jackass wants to do 60 or 100 mile an hour through a school zone. Well, okay, nobody's going to rent him a place to live. Nobody's going to give him a job. Nobody's going to sell him groceries. The doctor will not see him when he gets sick. I guarantee you within a week he's going to leave town. Right. I mean, it's simple common sense. And we don't need a government running around making a bunch of laws because they don't really make laws. They make statutes, regulations, and policies. I mean, I studied law, which is how I know this. There is no such thing as a man's law. Man makes policies, rules, regulations, and statutes. Only the Supreme One makes law. And that is the only law that matters. And when you talk about, how do you deal with crime, you simply remember crime has a very simple definition. Any action undertaken by any individual which the end result is damage or harm to person and or property. If there's no damage to person or property, there has been no crime. So, I mean, here we get back to the very basics. And it's very simple. A group of people come together, they decide this is what we're going to do, this is how we're going to live, and this is the standard by which we will live. And anyone who disagrees with this is not going to be welcomed here. So the people that don't like that attitude, they'll go somewhere else, and they'll find, like you said, they'll find a place that's more conducive to them. We don't need a government for this. All we need is for people to use what my grandpa used to call common horse sense. Hey, thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Well, there you go. Thanks, Art. Appreciate you calling in. Of course, the show ended kind of differently than I expected. Jerry Lahr, thank you. We will have to revisit this again because, we're out of time today. And I'm still not too sure about the vocabulary needed. I think we've made some progress in talking, but there's probably some more work that needs to be done. Thanks, Jerry.
Hey, appreciate it. Thanks so much, and look forward to doing it again sometime.
Okay, sounds good. Next week, folks, tune in because we're going to be talking about statutory law versus common law and how it's actually reflecting in Dr. David Krupa's case and Susie Kamek and what, they're going through the statutory law thing. We're going to be there this coming Tuesday, and we'll talk to you a little bit about that and the shenanigans that the state's pulling. Take care, guys. Love you all. Take care. Yeah.
The tree of life is us, my friends.
Liberty is not free. Its costs are innumerable. Without monetary funding, the valiant efforts of freedom-loving Americans become diminished or outright defeated. We present a solution, the Give Me Liberty Fund. The plan is quite simple. Invite individual Americans to contribute less than $1 a day. The These monetary funds are used to promote Liberty media, organizations, events, candidates, movements, and speakers. In the spirit of transparency, all expenditures are published. Patriotic business owners provide discounted products and services to Give Me Liberty Fund members. Our greatest strength is in numbers. Go to GiveMeLibertyFund.com and become part of the solution today. GiveMeLibertyFund.com. Participate in the peaceful restoration of the greatest and freest country in the world.
You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Because you can handle the truth.